All right, we are riding. I'm gonna go up 8th Avenue here. Oh man, already we got a truck driver. It's like the worst. This is probably the worst idea ever. But I do want to see the 2 blocks that up around 41st, 42nd that have been converted to a real not terrible protected bike lane. Let's see what we find. Okay. Cool. Hello. Bike lane. We got doors in the bike lane. Everything's in the bike lane here. Uber, pull out. Well, I'm in no rush, and I know this is going to take me probably 37 minutes. So no matter what I do, and the lights are not timed for cyclists at all here. I think the last time I came up here last week, I think last Friday during rush hour, it was pretty bad idea. Oh, this guy's still moving here. Are you gonna stop? You just go slow and steady, and you probably still get knocked off your bike because there's just crap in the way here. Oh man, this looks inviting. Look at this. What are we doing, guys? Are we in the bike lane, or are we not? What are we doing? Bike lane. Cool. Well, I'm having fun here. Well, you are too. So yeah, last week when I took this ride, I found I was basically barely keeping up with somebody who had like some luggage that he was like walking basically. So there's really no need to sort of speed here. I'm gonna go through this. Same reason drivers will go through. Ooh, what is this? This looks interesting. Here's a Go Airlink NYC, the 20699LV. Breaking some rules here. This is a no parking, no stopping, no standing anytime zone. And they're just doing a pickup there. Alright, let's see what this new bike lane brings us. It's a straight shot. Yeah, this definitely does look like a pile of shit. Alright, so we've got a car here, HTN9425. Looks like, I don't know what car that is. That just pulled out. We've got, I don't know, these people think that this bike lane is a bus lane, but JGU 2529 is definitely in it to win it. And then this bus is here. That is literally how you die. That is how you get killed. Cool, we're just rolling in between these cars. I don't know what this is. This is a bike? This is the bike lane. Oh, so this is supposed to be the bike lane. Yeah, because some new paint is going to solve the biggest problems that we see. New paint. Put some concrete down. Solve the problem. So So there you've got, I don't know, it's just like a mess of crap. Driver in this gray, whatever, brown area here. They really want this to be cordoned off as a protected bike lane. Right, if this is supposed to be a protected bike lane, oh my God, look at what's up ahead of us. This is not a protected bike lane. This is not a bike lane. This is a pedestrianized zone with some cars running through it and a couple of cyclists trying to not hit anybody, which is hard to do when everybody walks in this area. But like, this is really cruddy. I mean, if I were, also I do not have the right of way here. I have to stop, but okay with that. It's a left turn only for these guys. Why is this guy so cool?
What up?
Everybody's confused. This is a bike lane. If you are not a bike, you should not be on the bike lanes. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's not fun if you're not like it's a pizza lane. It's a pizza lane. It's a walking lane. It's a garbage lane. Garbage lane. It's a officer lane. It's a headphone. Listen to your headphone lane. It's an Adidas bag lane. It's a smoky cigarette lane. This whole place should be burned down and pedestrianized. It's a walk your dog lane. I could do this all day. Literally, I could do it all day. So yeah, just talking to a coworker, and he doesn't bike, but he drives, but he has kids, and you know, supports the bike infrastructure, but is annoyed at the cyclists who sort of disobey rules. I think particularly the rules around yielding to pedestrians and making the streets a little bit unsafer for pedestrians, right? When you're trying to cross the street and doing things like that. It is a bit challenging to, I mean, I certainly don't defend a lot of any of that kind of behavior. The like spandex bros who like go through red lights and do all kinds of sort of dangerous speeding maneuvers. I go pretty slow, try to optimize on goodwill, is what I say. Try to yield to people. I also say I don't really see, I'm not gonna speed up, I'm not gonna get anywhere that much faster. You know, it's kind of like a pointless exercise. But it's a challenge to really convey a lot of this stuff, because when you're talking to somebody that doesn't bike, and I know this because I know this from experience, like I also did not understand any of the real, you can explain it, but that just makes me like didactic and, you know, and sort of like mansplaining. Oh, well, these are the problems you have when you bike. But like when you're in the actual bike ride, riding around and seeing what it's like to be here, and what the infrastructure is and what you are expected to do, you would immediately figure out, oh yeah, this is pretty terrible in many cases. And you right away figure out circumstances in which you're like, I don't even know what you're supposed to do here. Because it's simple to just say, oh, we'll stop at red lights. We'll stop, you just stop at red lights. I'm like, okay, I mean, you can stop at red lights, but that's not really, like, that's not biking. That's just stopping at red lights. The real dangerous stuff with biking is like everything else, is navigating around intersections that don't set priorities, that don't have leading intervals, right? People like that who just sort of blindly walk into the bike path, and you're like, well, I'm not speeding. I'm not even going fast right now. I'm going 6 miles an hour. I'm riding a big red bike slowly with a light on the front and a giant helmet with a camera on top. It's not hard. It's not easy to miss me, you know, if you're just looking up. And I certainly don't blame, like, it's not distracted pedestrians. Like, I think that's total bullshit too. I think it's street design. If I sound like a broken record, it's because I am. It comes down to space. It's really just space. Space. A lot of these issues are not issues when if we have all of these lanes over here on the right dedicated to everything, instead of this tiny little stretch of nothing on the left dedicated to pedestrians, and this little tiny strip here that's basically like a gutter. It's basically just an overflow lane dedicated to pedestrians and a couple of cyclists that come through. So like that guy went through a red light. I would say don't advise that. Don't advise going through red lights. But look at this. So the walk signal happens, the green light happens, and immediately, like, all modes of transportation are expected to move simultaneously through. Except that's not how it works. Nobody's going straight. Not everybody's going straight. Cyclists are going straight. Maybe they're going to make a left there. But that driver back there is definitely making a left turn. And so we were in a mixing zone. So he's cutting through. Not only is he cutting through an entire lane of cyclists, is a bike lane, but he's also making a left turn into a active crosswalk. So all the people who are crossing right there, you know, from north to south and south to north, all of the walk signal. And then we put a car and say, you have a green light, go ahead and make a left turn. And, like, good luck. And we just pray that you won't kill anybody. Right? And, like, maybe most of the time nothing happens. It's true. But, like, that's not safe infrastructure. That's very, very poorly designed conflict. And that's the problem. And that is what makes things really unsafe on a bike. It's what doesn't invite new cyclists into the mix. People who should be part of the sort of, you know, people who should be adopting biking as a mode that they feel confident and comfortable riding. Now we have a green light. Cool. And here is where is this? It's 56th Street. So we went from 56, had a green light. Look at how fast 57th Street, the green bike signal, look at how fast it just turned to red. So I made it 1 block. Now I have to wait another signal. So you wonder why, like, why do cyclists potentially go through red lights? Like, in this situation, you could say, all right, well, cyclists should never go through red lights. Okay. But here, like, all these drivers here have a left arrow. I barely made it. I could make it 1 block, and then I lost the signal. And look at this. Now I got to wait for the entire through traffic here. So I got to wait like 1.5 entire light cycles in order to get through this. So it's not surprising, right, that some people are like, well, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna weave through this and try to get through. Because in that case, you're not actually riding like fast, you're just trying to get through basic, like very poorly timed lights that are not designed for cyclists. And now, okay, now I have it. I just waited 90 seconds, minute, 2 minutes. And that time adds up when you're on a bike. It's not particularly like fun, conversational style. Garbage is in the middle of the intersection here. It's not particularly conversational biking. Right, so let's see, I'm gonna follow this path. Okay, so I'm supposed to go straight, and then what? I turn this way? This is crazy. Now I'm in the protected, I don't know, this isn't protected, this is just some green paint. Okay, so I'm here, and then what am I supposed to do here? I'm literally crossing like I don't know, it feels like 17 lanes of traffic here. Buzzing police in the background. All right, and we are on protected bike lane. This is what protected bike lane feels like. I like this. This is the second time I'm riding this. And I dig it. I dig it. Look at this. So you have posts here that stop these drivers. They're probably all placard abuse drivers. Oh yeah, I just went through a red light. But nobody was kind of in the middle of the crosswalk or anything like that. I'm also, I want to keep reminding you, I am going like 4 miles an hour. I'm literally going speed that you might walk. Like, it's a walking pace here. But I'll stop. I don't mind stopping. But like, now that I've stopped, I'm looking around, there's literally nobody around, and I'm gonna go through this red light. And there's nothing wrong with that, because there's nothing wrong with walking through this. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to stop, take a look around, glance, and be like, I literally am able to use my full peripheral vision. It's not like in a car where you have blind spots and stuff like that. I can see the full width. I can see the entire area, like 160 degrees, right, of vision. And it allows me to do something actually very safe, which is try to get ahead of this cruddy traffic here. So this guy, T736131C, is butting into the protected bike lane. And that's an example of an Uber cutting into the bike lane, doing something dangerous. That's how you can get killed, through no fault of your own, right? That guy was doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's riding on the bike lane, on the path. That is, we just passed the ghost bike for Madison Leiden, I think. And it's in her, this really should be called like Madison Way. It's really of sort of her memory that this lane was created. Her death was predictable, it was preventable. It didn't have to happen here, but it happened. And now in place of, in front of that ghost bike, we have a protected bike lane, which is really, I mean, that's progress. That is the definition of progress. So I'm stopping here, I'm looking, I don't see anybody. Oh, these people are walking. I'll let them. Oh, go ahead. I'm not gonna do anything here, but like now I'm just gonna go because this is kind of not something I'm just gonna wait around for. When you bike, you quickly notice like what is safe and what is not safe. And what you realize very quickly is that red lights don't keep you safe. They have nothing to do with, almost nothing is really designed for the safety of cyclists. It's really designed around the speed and control of cars. And then to keep pedestrians like on the outskirts. So as long as they follow the rules, right, and we hope that they follow rules, they'll technically be safe, except when they follow all the rules and still get killed, right? Because drivers just blow through red lights doing 65 miles an hour like that teenager did in Coney Island Avenue. I think, right, or Ocean, I forgot exactly where, but where we did the memorial ride, right? That's going through a red light, killing somebody, slamming into a minivan, or killing small children because you're quote-unquote losing control and riding onto sidewalks and slamming into people, strollers, right? Children, parents holding their hands. It's ridiculous. You should be yelling about this stuff all the time. I'm basically slowing to a crawl, and now I am going through. Because I am not a car that can inflict massive damage when I go even 3 miles an hour and hit somebody. I am on a bike. Bikes are completely different than cars. And I go slow. Not everybody does that, and I think that probably, sets a bad example, makes a bad name for other cyclists. It's easy to set up that class concept, right, where you have like a class of people. But when they do the surveys and when they do the research, so now we've just lost the protected bike lane. There's no protection anymore. Now it's just a painted lane, just paint. And so this gets pretty spicy up in here, hitting 81st Street. Museum of Natural History, the American Museum of Natural History. We got New Jersey. There's a T730216. It's like basically a photocopy of a license there. Those are these like temporary license plates. So can I go through this? I'm gonna stop. This guy went through. I don't blame him. Now I'm gonna have to wait. Now we're at, where are we, 81st Street and Central Park West. Hopefully the lawsuit will, that is trying to stop the development of the protected bike lane, hopefully that's going to stop, or just like a judge will put an end to it. I have a walk signal. Legally I'm allowed to bike on a walk signal, and then right in front of me is a whole bunch of cars blocking the bike lane. So what do we got? We got JJJ 5442, it's a good one, New York. AG 64875, also New York. Oh, they're doing a movie. AG 64898 is also Pennsylvania. And then a bunch of trucks here. Wow, here's another, I don't know if that's the original one, that ghost bike there. We're at 84th, Central Park West. I don't know who that ghost bike is for. Like, look at how they've set this up. So if you want to make a right turn, you have to literally blow through this middle strip that's for bikes, like 2P18 did. And he just did what DOT set him up to do. It's an incredibly dangerous maneuver. You literally have to cut through a bike lane where there are cyclists. Like, there's 3 of us, 2 more back there. There's an entire citybike dock where obviously tons of people are getting bikes and riding up. There you got JGL 4852 in like a Mini Cooper. I think that was a plate. We definitely blew through a red light. There was a steady walk signal when I saw him come through. So here we're passing all of these precious parked cars, which is really a gift from the city to a handful. I mean, really it is a handful. Like, I mean, look at how many parked cars you're talking about, and look over at the left. Like, look at how many people live in these buildings, and look at how many cars there are. And by the way, look at the quality, like, look at the value of these cars. You know, these aren't cheap cars. Like, many of them are expensive. A Porsche, this Porsche and this, oh wow, that Mercedes right here needs their free parking on the park. We should not call it parking. I saw a tweet that said basically ban, don't even say car parking, call it, sorry, parking, call it car storage. They need their car storage. Car storage should not be free. That should not be a political statement. It should not upset anybody. It should not be met with, you know, violent screams of war on cars and all that other nonsense. It should be met with some sober reflection on what a city is and what a city is not. And a city is a place for people, not for storage of private vehicles or private property. You can store your private property, you just gotta pay for it. I don't know why you can put your car here for free, but then you can live over there and that costs you, you know, $8,000 a month. As long as you move it, look at the sign. Tuesday, Friday, 11:30 to 1 p.m. is alternate side parking. Those are the times, the only times where it's not that they're charging you, it's that they're just saying you can't have your car physically in this spot. So you can move it. If you can afford moving, like afford the time to move a car, move your car twice a week for 2 hours, you know, then you get a free spot. Like that's the cost, that's the price. Insane system we've set up. It makes no sense. A rational system would charge for goods sold. That's capitalist. That's city-centric. By the way, when you look inside these cars, there's like BMW up here, which just went by. I notice these drivers almost never look. Like, they look straight ahead, they're super focused, or they're looking at their phones. So much of the time, they are not ever looking to their right and looking at who else they're sharing the road with. Right, when we talk about this, bike lane, bikes only. I don't even know what that sign means. It's like, what does that even mean? That's a car storage. Cars only. And so, yeah, I mean, you almost never see drivers. It's very rare to see drivers just like notice you, look at you, acknowledge you. I mean, it does happen, sure, on intersections, when you're crossing, and things like that. You know, if they're not just blindly going through. Oh, this guy, his kids go to my school. So we're in the same school together. It's cool. This guy, I don't know what this person is doing here. Oh, sorry, I meant the guy on the bike. There's a city bike just sitting here. I don't know what they're doing. But like when you're riding one of these kind of awful painted bike lanes, which offers zero protection except for like a little paint, where you're like flanked by speeding drivers on the left and parked cars or drivers that are attempting to park or pull out of parking spots on the right. That's when you notice, like, you look inside these cocoons, and you're like, they're not really looking. They're not paying any attention to anybody else. They're not looking and seeing that there's a cyclist right next to them, going roughly the same speed. There's GWB 5538. She basically just went through a crosswalk back there. I'm curious what ends up happening up here. And then it says, here's the sign on the right, passenger cars only. Okay, what does that mean? Passenger cars only. Does that mean like no trucks here? Because I've seen a ton of trucks. Is that enforced in any way? Like, I don't even know what that means. I don't think anybody does. Here, this guy on the bike just made a left turn, and take a look at like how he made a left turn. So he's trying to get to the other side here, and so he went through, get onto the sidewalk to then make a turn there. I don't know, maybe he lives in one of these buildings, but you can see, like, when cyclists need to do these kinds of maneuvers, there is no infrastructure. There's nothing, there's no guideline that tells you make a turn up here, this is the safe place to do it. This guy's got music and just going through a red light. I realize that I am going through a red light while I'm yelling about this other guy going through a red light. I get that. But I feel like I've made my point pretty clearly that, like, drivers have very serious obligations to follow these rules because the rules were designed for drivers. And then we just threw some bikes into the mix without thinking any of this through. And like, I'm gonna go through this shit because this is the safest way to go through this roundabout, not to wait for a green light where everybody else has a green light. When everybody else has a green light, my safety and my risk goes down, or goes up very quickly. It becomes very risky for me to ride alongside drivers who only see the green light. That's the problem. Because again, these streets are designed for cars. There is no separated infrastructure for cyclists, and it's awful. That's why. The only way they've done it is by adding these like nonsense paint, just some paint in the side next to parked cars, instead of doing what real countries and real cities actually would do when they, you know, care at all about the safety of their citizens or their residents, right? Which is put down some separated, grade separated, concrete separated bike paths and pedestrianized areas. Remove parking if it means that, if that's the only way to do it, fine. Take a good, hard, long look at why you are giving away 3 or 4 million free parking spots to drivers. Like, why are we doing that? Why is that set up? Should that exist? Should we maybe create a plan where we remove that systematically over a period of time? I think Jahia put together a projected plan. Like, if you want to drop it by 50%, the number of parking, all these guys are in the bike lane here. LBR 7154 Pennsylvania is just hanging out. If you want to remove parking by 50%, you want to slash 50%, that means you have to eliminate 10,000 parking spots every single month for the next, like, I forget whatever he did, 25 years. Something like that. It's a very sizable number. It would be very noticeable. It would be magnificent is what it would be. It would be transformative for the city. It would increase safety. Anyway, this is me. Thanks for watching. It's biketalk.nyc, and I will see you tomorrow.